All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Brad with Smirking Gun Reviews, and tonight we're going to be talking about the first two episodes of the new season of True Detective, Season 3. I'm happy to be watching this again. The first season of True Detective was easily one of the single best, single season shows that I've ever seen. I almost wish that they didn't keep going. Because honestly, because the second season was so disappointing, going back into this, I was a little trepidatious, and I still am, because the show Sharp Objects, they're character studies that have to do with a murder or murderers. And the thing about Sharp Objects and my reaction reviews and stuff to that, was that it became more about the characters and their past than the murders, the cases that they were working on in that show. And True Detective is kind of the same. At least the first season was, and this season is, I don't know if that's going to be the case in this either. But intertwined. More likely, they do it better in True Detective is what I'm trying to say. And just like the first season, this one's shaping up to be a really interesting character study about this guy, played by, I always butcher names, but Mahershala Ali. He's been in a ton of stuff. I have not seen everything he's been in. I'm not going to shine you on like that. I haven't seen Moonlight. I liked him in Luke Cage, Season 1. And I'm trying to he's got one of those faces. I know I've seen him in a bunch of things, but he's good. I'm also surprised to see that it was Steven Dorff that plays his partner. I kept trying to figure out who that was, and I haven't really watched him in a lot of stuff in a while. The thing I remember him most was from the first Blade movie and the SFW movie back in the day. I think it meant So Fucking What. And he was in a John Waters movie, Cecil B. Demented, and I think he was even in a movie by the Sofia Coppola. I might be mistaken there, but he plays his partner. And there's a few people in this that I recognize, like Brett Cullen is from Lost, and what's his name? Scoot McNairy. Scoot McNairy, who I loved in *Halt and Catch Fire*. Scoot McNairy, that's such a great name. He sounds like he's part of a jazz band or something. But and then there's also John Tenney, kind of a famous character actor. And in this story, it takes place in 3 timelines. Now, just like the first True Detective, it takes place in multiple time periods. And while I thought, are they just doing the same thing again? And it kind of is. It's the experiences of the characters that separate this from other just regular procedurals and true crime shows like Law and Order and SVU and all this stuff. And in this, the detective played by Mahershala Ali, Detective Hayes, they get called out to do an investigation on these missing kids. And I should say that the episode titles are The Great War and Modern Memory, and episode 2 is called Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, I believe. And anyway, they get called out to Scoot McNairy's place. His kids go on a bike ride to have some fun. They're supposed to be home at 5:30 and they never show up. And it's about the investigation into finding the kids. And like I said, full spoilers if you haven't seen the episodes. And what happens after they end up finding the one boy dead in kind of an outcropping, kind of like a little cave. He also finds these little dolls made out of straw, like homemade dolls. And the girl is missing, and so is the boy's backpack. And it's just your standard detective stuff. It's not fast-paced. It is all slow character development. very slowly peeling back the layers, getting to know the two main guys quite a bit. And a lot of this has to do with the background of being from Vietnam, where Hayes was a recon scout kind of guy you drop in the jungle, and he'd just come back with like scalps, they said, and they called him Purple Hayes. And it's in the Ozarks, and so you've already got kind of he's the black detective in a predominantly white area, and so you can kind of tell that he's always kind of minding his P's and Q's, like he's knows, like he says later on, that he knows where he is, that he's here, but he's not part of the tribe, and that he relies a lot on his partner to take care of certain things, that, to speak for him when he can't because people won't listen. We also get he starts to build a relationship with the teacher in this town, that knows the kids, knows how to like talk to the kids when he can't. Some people don't want to talk to the cops, but it's easier to talk to a teacher. We also get to see, the home life of these kids, which was, pretty strained. The parents aren't getting along. They're living kind of separate lives. So trying not to, and that's in the 1980 timeline. Then the 1990 timeline, Hayes has been called in for a deposition because whoever they put away, they're basically, for the crime, they're trying to overturn the conviction because they have new evidence in the case. And the new evidence in the case is that the girl is still alive. So you can now, assume that they never found her, that they thought she was presumed dead or something like that. But that now that she's alive, they're questioning who they put in jail. And so in the 1990s, him and his family he's married to the teacher now. They've got a couple of young kids, and they're now brought back into this world to try to find out what happened to the girl. And in the more current timeline, way in the future, I think it's 2015, he's an old man getting interviewed by this show called True Criminal, and they want to know about the story of this case. And he's clearly got dementia and probably Alzheimer's, and so his memory can't really be counted on. But talking about this case is starting to make him remember things that he hadn't had to think about in a while. His wife has passed recently. His son is trying to help. He's estranged from his daughter, and he's at the end of the second episode. He ends up he ends up out in the street, not knowing how he got there. So there's some definite, really interesting things happening here as far as how this story is going to be told. I think that it's interesting to do this again because they could have done this I thought they were going to do kind of another Matthew McConaughey thing, but they're not. And thankfully they're not, because we don't need a rehash of this really interesting, super complex, guy that McConaughey played in the first one. This guy's more straightforward. He's more quiet. He's thoughtful, though. He internalizes a lot of things. And what I like is that they don't really tie in the first season of True Detective. I was worried that this was going to be something that was going to carry on with kind of what happened in the first season of True Detective. There is one thing that's said, and I believe it's the only thing that possibly connects this first season to this season, and that's when they talk about the pedophile ring. I do believe that is something that was a part of the first season of True Detective. I'm not going to spoil it here, just in case I'm wrong. You can look it up, but I do believe that that's the connection, and I don't know if it's supposed to be kind of like a red herring, so that we get ooh, is this something that Because I know shows like this really like to play, like switch things around on you. And sometimes, it's like misdirection. I do have a theory right now in my head that's probably wrong the more I think about it. And it could be a potential spoiler, but with the girl being found in the 1990s, you go, well, okay, who is she now? And she was 9 in 1980, right? I think. So like in 1990, she'd have been 19. And then in 2000, she'd be 29. So like around 2015, she'd be about 35, 36. And I'm wondering, and I'm just putting it out there, if you don't want to know, skip a few, like a 30 seconds ahead or a minute ahead. But I'm wondering if sometimes they'll show you something that you didn't even know you were looking at, that becomes obvious later on. And I'm just putting it out there that I'm thinking it's always a possibility. I could be completely wrong. Gotta stop saying this. Is what if the girl doing the interview in current time is actually her? The girl that went missing. I don't know. I always like to try to put these things together. That's the fun about watching a mystery, is trying to put the pieces together. And there's not really, that's all I really have to say about this, that I'm going to say about it, because mystery shows are hard to talk about. And I'm not going to talk about every scene, because there are a lot of just scenes of talking and regular police procedural stuff. The police guys who are only looking out for their own careers, that pretend to care about what the people in the town think, when they're just trying they're trying to keep their jobs. And it gets in the way of finding the truth. And then they let the truth out in like this clue on TV, just so that they don't have the public, breathing down their neck, when the important thing is trying to find a kid, not trying to keep your job. You know what I mean? But anyway, so the girl being that, I don't know. I'm probably wrong. I usually am. But I just figured, if anybody has any else theories of what's going on, and anybody else catch any season 1, tidbits in there. If I'm wrong about the Easter egg that I thought was not really an Easter egg, but the mention of the pedophile ring, I looked it up myself, and I do believe that it is connected to season 1. So anyway, even though, look, this is not an action show. This isn't anything but just a show that I like to kind of focus on and pay attention to all the details, try to peel things back, and see if I can start, figuring out what all is going on. And it's even harder when they jump around to different timelines, because sometimes it's hard. It's easy to get screwed up with, oh, wait, where are we? 1990, 1980? At least in 2015 or whenever it is, it's easy to tell what time that era is, because he's got the gray hair. So anyway, I feel like this is kind of back to form. Stephen Dorff is really good in this, by the way. I really like him in this. The thing they do with the pedophile that they find from Vice, that takes me back to season 1. Also, is it just me, or is a lot of cop shows showing cops drinking on the job? Was that just a thing from the past, or is that still going on? I know that makes me sound stupid, but it's just like every show has cops drinking on the job, and that worries me a little bit. So anyway, that's the first 2 episodes. I know I didn't go into tons of detail, but again, if you want to just hear me talk about all the conversations that they have, a lot of them are really mundane and just, don't really have anything to do with the full-on murder mystery of the story. So anyway, those were kind of the main points going on forward. I don't think the dad had anything to do with it. Who knows what was going on with the mom. I think the uncle's a red herring, even though he seems like a real creeper. And if not, if the son put the hole in the wall, then we're also talking about some weird shit too. So anyway, I can't wait to watch this again next week and do another review. We'll see how people take this. So anyway, If you like this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, comment. Please let me know what you're thinking about this. Share, subscribe, please. That'd be great. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying we'll see you next week for another True Detective. We're doing The Punisher starting Friday, and we're also right now doing Friends from College Season 2. So, this is Rob saying have a great night, and we'll see you next time.